At this moment, their entire bodies were covered in 28-karat gold. Jae-ri introduced that gold can reduce facial swelling. This is also the reason why gold can retain its value so much. This may seem extravagant and wasteful, but in fact, the girls only need to lie in bed for 3 days to see very obvious results. Their faces will be significantly slimmer. On the other hand, Hung Joon told Ji-young to slap her face with both hands. He said that this can also make her face slimmer. Very quickly, Ji-young's face was beaten until it was red and sore. Director Jung took her students to the sauna to sweat and slim their bodies. Hyungjun took a ball and told Ji-young to lie on top of it and press it down hard. He said that doing so could help slim her stomach. He also said that this method was many times better than the effect at Jae-ri's beauty salon. But the beauty pageant's qualifying round was about to begin. What should Ji-young do with her hair? Hyungjun said he had a way. Hyungjun then took Ji-young to his rival, Jae-ri's training facility. Hyungjun said he came here to ask for some experience with Jae-ri. He also said that he didn't go to the previous champion, Director Jang's beauty salon, because he felt that his level and Jae-ri's were on par, so they needed to share their experiences with each other. But Ji-young told the truth. She begged Director Ma to help her with her hair just once. Ji-young thought that Jae-ri would chase them away, but she was very generous and decided to design Ji-young's hair. Jae-ri was truly a beauty wizard. In no time, she had created such a beautiful hairstyle. Ji-young had never seen herself so beautiful. The girls around her couldn't stop admiring Ji-young. The lion head was a familiar hairstyle for Korean beauty queens. It not only made the hair thicker, but it also made the face slimmer. Ji-young was very satisfied with this hairstyle. Soon after, the beauty pageant qualifying round began. Jae-ri had prepared 2 makeup artists and an assistant for each of her contestants. This allowed them to put all their effort into the contest. Ji-young was alone at home preparing everything. She could only cheer herself up. In her haste to leave the house, Ji-young forgot to bring her contestant card. She quickly arrived at the contest venue. The first challenge was the bare-faced test. The contest staff would measure the contestants' height, body measurements, and weight. But under the guidance of the beauty salon, each girl used a little trick. Some people did 100 push-ups before measuring their bust. Then their bust size would increase by 2 centimeters. Some people used a lot of force to breathe while measuring, so the measurement result would naturally be a little bigger. Strangely, there were people who were clearly very thin, but for some reason, their bust size was very admirable. But Ji-young not only did not have any innate talent, she did not even know how to use any tricks. But there was one thing that made Ji-young extremely helpless. When she measured at home before, it was clearly 32, but now the measurement result was only 30. Ji-young asked to be measured again, but this was flatly refused by the organizers. It turned out that this was the joint sponsor of the competition. Body's cosmetics company had played a trick behind the scenes. Because Hyungjun and he were competitors, he didn't want to let Hyungjun's company's representative, Ji-young, enter the next round. Not only was Ji-young's bust measured to be smaller, but her height was also reduced by 2 centimeters. Her face was measured to be 8 centimeters longer. Just like that, Ji-young's body, which was originally a golden ratio of level 8, instantly became a level 7. Hyungjun was completely at a loss for what to do. At this moment, Ji-young's father at home discovered her contest card. Only then did he know that she had secretly registered for the beauty pageant. Therefore, Ji-young's family immediately decided to go to the venue of the competition to drag her back. At this time, Ji-young was still using Hyungjun's method to slim her face. Meanwhile, Jae-ri's students had professional massage therapists taking good care of them. Director Jang even personally helped her students slim their faces. At this time, Hyunjun went to the person in charge of the competition's organizing committee to reason. Hyunjun said that while Ji-young was measuring her body proportions, she was being treated unfairly, so he requested that he be allowed to be in the hall while the bare face was being judged. But he had no connections and no bribes, so the person in charge used the excuse that it was against the competition's rules to refuse Hyunjun's request in front of everyone. But under the reporter's strong request, he finally allowed the reporter to record the interview. In fact, Director Jang had planned this evaluation in advance, but since reporters were present, the judges had no choice but to give a fair score. Ji-young relied on her beautiful appearance to get a high score. At this time, Ji-young's family had also come to the gate of the competition hall. They were determined to drag Ji-young home before the swimsuit competition started. Inside the waiting room, Director Jang's students took a deep breath to steady their breathing. Then they immediately wrapped tape around their waists tightly to shape their bodies into an hourglass shape. Only then would it be considered perfect. Director Jang told Sunju that even if she couldn't breathe, she had to persevere until the end, because wrapping tape like that when wearing a swimsuit would make her body shape perfect. Only then did the judges give Sunju a high score. This was Director Jang's unique secret to creating a beautiful swimsuit beauty. Others spent $5 million on plastic surgery, but she only needed a roll of tape to fix it. Director Jae-ri was was patiently instructing Chae-hee on how to stand gracefully. What kind of swimsuit would accentuate her body? Ji-young was in a panic. Hyung-jun and his staff had no experience participating in such competitions. At this time, Lee Jun, who had always had a crush on Ji-young, had also rushed over. Hyung-jun immediately put a swimsuit on Ji-young. He didn't want Lee Jun to see her in a swimsuit. Lee Jun's purpose in coming here was to give Ji-young a pair of earrings. Although no other jewelry was allowed in the swimsuit competition, the contestants were allowed to wear earrings. This small piece of jewelry can also make the contestants more charismatic. How could Hyung-jun know about these things? Although Ji-young also liked it and felt that she should wear more earrings, she didn't want to hurt Hyung-jun's self-esteem, so she bluntly refused Lee Jun's good intentions. Hyung-jun was also aware of his shortcomings, but he still stubbornly said that, anyway, those earrings weren't expensive, so Ji-young shouldn't let down other people's kindness like that. Only then did she agree to accept Lee Jun's gift. But when she was full of confidence and preparing to leave for battle, she coincidentally ran into her grandfather and father, who came to stop her. Ji-young's father almost fainted when he saw her dressed so revealingly. Then he got angry and slapped Ji-young straight in the face. Her father mentioned his wife in heaven and told Ji-young that if she still insisted on participating in the contest, she would be doing her mother a disservice. She would be losing face for her family if she did so. Ji-young burst into tears and said that if her mother were still alive, her mother would definitely support her. She said that her father and grandfather were male chauvinists, so they had prejudices against beauty contests like this. But they didn't listen to Ji-young's explanation. They wanted to drag Ji-young home. At this time, Ji-young signaled with her eyes to Hyung-jun. He also understood her intention. Hyung-jun immediately pulled Ji-young and ran away. The rest of the people were desperately trying to hold her family back. The swimsuit competition quickly began. Ji-young inside the audience was trying not to let her bad mood affect her. But at this moment, several other women suddenly appeared. They pushed Ji-young into the bathroom. It turned out that they were all Director Jae-ri's students. Choi Soo-yeon was the mastermind. She used force to pull the breast pads off Ji-young's body. Then she used the scissors that had been prepared beforehand to cut them into pieces. The main purpose was to prevent Ji-young from getting a high score in the swimsuit competition. The competition had already started. If Ji-young prepared again, it would definitely be too late, so she could only force a smile and prepare to go on stage. The contestants in front all made different mistakes. Only director Jang Sun-ju performed very well in this competition. But when Ji-young appeared, Hyung-jun, who was sitting below, also discovered that something was wrong. Before going on stage, it was clear that her bust size was not that big. The judges also felt that Ji-young was excellent in all aspects, but her bust was not outstanding compared to the other contestants. The final promotion stage was quickly approaching. The first, second and third place winners from the regional rounds would represent Seoul in the finals. Since only 5 of the 50 contestants from the first round were retained, the girls were all extremely nervous. Only those who made it into the top 5 would have a chance to compete for the championship. The contestants whose names were called were all very happy. Fortunately, Ji-young was called into the top 5 based on her combined score. Hyung-jun's group finally felt relieved. Next, the judges had to choose the first, second and third place winners from the 5 contestants on stage. So Hyun, who had walked catwalk on the subway, won third place. There would be 2 contestants eliminated from the remaining 4. The atmosphere immediately became extremely tense. Right after that, Chae-hee, Director Jae-ri's student, won second place. Ji-young was trying her best to control her tension. She tried to maintain a smile on her face. Hyung-jun's group in the audience were so nervous that they clenched their fists, but the MC called Sun-ju's name. This also meant that Ji-young was eliminated. Although Ji-young was still trying to maintain a smile, tears couldn't help but fall from her eyes. Ji-young and Sun-young were tied for 4th place. Only then did Hyung-jun realize that he should have listened to Director Jae-ri. Now his company was losing money and was facing the risk of bankruptcy. Everything Ji-young had put in before had become useless because only the top 3 could participate in the final round to compete for the national championship. Therefore, 4th place was completely meaningless. Ji-young could only start looking for a job again. But at this moment, Director Jae-ri gave a piece of paper to the reporter. She asked him to help her deliver it to the champion Sun-ju. When Sun-ju opened the paper, her face immediately changed color because Director Jae-ri had discovered her secret that she couldn't tell anyone. But facing the flashing cameras of the reporters, Sun-ju could only try to maintain a smile. But Director Jae-ri knew that she must be feeling confused and panicked inside. It turned out that the paper that Director Jae-ri gave her said, "Did you drink maltose?" While the contestants were having their measurements measured, Director Jae-ri was in the dressing room. She suddenly saw a plastic bottle containing a milky white liquid, so she took a big gulp and discovered that it was maltose. It has the effect of making women's breasts bigger. Drinking this before measuring 3 measurements is tantamount to cheating, so Director Jae-ri had to investigate who secretly drank this. So she told her students to try try drinking maltose, but they all found it very unpleasant to drink. Later, in the dressing room before the swimsuit competition, director Jae-ri saw Sonju looking everywhere after finishing her makeup. Jae-ri immediately kicked the plastic bottle to Sonju's place, and sure enough, Sonju mistook it for her water bottle that had fallen to the ground. After Sonju picked it up, she naturally drank the liquid inside the bottle. Through Sonju's expression, director Jae-ri guessed that she was breastfeeding. This meant that she had given birth. This beauty pageant had a clear rule that girls who had given birth were not eligible to participate in the pageant. Director Jae-ri then went to Sonju and hoped that she would take the initiative to give up her title. Because Jae-ri also did not want to make this public, Sonju did not know what to do, so she told director Jang that she had given birth to a child without getting married. After director Jang found out that her rival had found out about this, she pretended to comfort Sonju, but in fact, she was already calculating how to get rid of Sonju. After Sun Young heard this news, she secretly called the organizers to report it so that she could advance to third place and participate in the finals. But Ji Young was also in fourth place with Sun Young. At this time, Ji Young was still very worried about finding a job. Ji Young's father and uncle had prepared envelopes and gifts and went to the mall to find Minister Park. They hoped that he could let Ji Young go back to work, but Minister Park was extremely disdainful of this little reward. He bluntly said that Ji Young had stolen things from the mall to take the exam right in front of her family. He even directly dumped the gift on the ground and threw out all the money in the envelope. Minister Park used this method to humiliate the two older men. At this time, Ji Young was still at home when she suddenly received a phone call informing her that she was participating in the finals. Hyungjun said that this was the luck that loving him brought Ji Young. Ji Young was also extremely grateful for Hyungjun's companionship, but she still didn't know that she was able to participate in the final round because Lee Jun was always silently helping her behind the scenes. Ji Young immediately packed her luggage to prepare for the next day's intensive training. Because she didn't want to bother Hyungjun, she didn't let him see her off, but instead carried her suitcase and set off alone. The other finalists were all competing for the most expensive limited edition wedding dress. Ji Young had no money. Hyungjun was still in debt, so she could only find the cheapest dress on the street advertisements. But she found out that even the cheapest dress was not something she could rent. At this moment, Lee Jun called her. He had prepared expensive dresses for Ji Young. He didn't want the girl he liked to wear cheap rented dresses to compete. After Ji Young put on the expensive dress, she really became gorgeous. The red carpet ceremony of the competition officially began. Beautiful girls from all over the country were sitting in luxury cars. They wore the most gorgeous outfits and went to the venue. The media reporters surrounded both sides of the red carpet. The blue and yellow combination of Chae-hee and So-hyun attracted even more flashbulbs. At this time, Hyungjun had already brought the dress he had rented and hurried to the venue. Ji Young struggled to drag her suitcase alone. It turned out that she didn't want to hurt Hyungjun's pride, so she once again refused Lee Jun's good intentions. She put on the cheap dress that Hyungjun had prepared for her. Lee Jun also felt helpless with her choice. Then came the various rehearsals. Just as Ji Young returned to the dormitory and was about to take a shower, she happened to see the two girls who had ruined her clothes last time. They were really fated to be together. Coincidentally, they were assigned to the same room. Ji Young had just gone into the bathroom when a huge basin of cold water was suddenly poured on her. She knew that this must have been the other two's plan. After returning to the dormitory, the few of them immediately got into a conflict because they didn't agree with each other. This also led to Chae-hee joining in the hair-pulling battle. Luckily, the person in charge of the competition showed up in time. Because they had a conflict in the dormitory, each of them would be deducted 15 points. If 30 points were deducted, they would be automatically disqualified from the competition. The organizers immediately announced that during the competition, smoking, drinking, and sexual intercourse were strictly prohibited. The main sponsor of this competition was Batty Cosmetics. They would be in charge of providing cosmetics. The final winner of the competition would have to sign a contract to become a designated model for Batty. Ji Young argued that there was no such clause in the beauty pageant agreement. She also did not agree to this condition because she represented Hyungjun's cosmetics company to participate in the competition. This made the organizers and sponsors of the competition very dissatisfied with her. The sponsors came to Ji Young and Hyungjun and directly said that if Ji Young didn't sign the contract, she shouldn't even think about continuing to participate in the competition. But the difficulties and challenges that Ji Young had to face had only just begun. Yesterday, Ji Young was attacked by eggs, which was a protest from some people against beauty contests. They accused beauty contests of discriminating against appearance. They called for the competition to be stopped. And then, during the swimsuit photo shoot, because Ji Young had a conflict with the sponsors, she was arranged to go to the swimming pool without makeup to take pictures. Furthermore, during the photo shoot, the organizers also asked Ji Young to lie down on the swimming mat. Ji-young tried many times but couldn't lie down on it. After she returned to the dorm, she discovered that her high heels had been damaged by someone else. What was even worse was that Sun-young had secretly put an irritant into Ji-young's cosmetics. Fortunately, Jae-hee had reminded Ji-young, if Ji-young had applied cosmetics containing irritant ingredients on her face, she definitely wouldn't have been able to continue competing. During the singing and dancing practice the next day, neither Sun-young nor Jae-hee had performed very well. Ji-young, on the other hand, had a smug smile on her face. Because she had a wealth of performing experience, this performance was no different than giving her points. Indeed, Ji-young's performance was clearly better than all the other contestants. Sun-young and Soo-hyun had always regarded her as their enemy, so at this moment they felt even more jealous and envious to the point of gritting their teeth. The director also immediately asked for a fan to blow hard on Ji-young's hair, so Ji-young's hair fluttered even more in the wind. It made her performance extremely soulful. Of course, this was also the result of Ji-young's hard work in training for the competition. It was soon time for the pre-competition judges meeting. Lee Jun Investment Company and Ji-young's former boss, Minister Park, they were both sponsors, so they became judges to evaluate the contestants. They would decide the total score of the contestants before the competition. The first criterion for evaluating swimsuits was the collarbone. The female judge, who was about to give Ji-young a high score, received a warning. As a result, she gave that high score to someone else. The second criterion was to reveal the neckline. The focus of this criterion was on the curve of the neck and the line of the back. Simply put, the higher the neck, the more beautiful it would be, and the neck circumference had to be just right. A neckline that was half the waist would be the perfect measurement. The shoulders should be straight and the most beautiful when they have a curve of about 5 degrees. All the judges based on these standards to score the contestants. Minister Park showed the score sheet first. He gave Ji-young all the lowest scores. Fortunately, Lee Jun gave Ji-young all the highest scores, so her scores could be balanced. After the grading session ended, Minister Park was not done with his revenge. He told Ji-young that this was the result of her not listening to what he said at first. Minister Park also hinted to Ji-young that if she agreed now, he could still reconsider. Ji-young was now planning to kill Minister Park. At this time, Lee Jun, in order to avoid suspicion, called Ji-young and told her the total score. This allowed her to complete the next practice sessions with peace of mind. Very quickly, all the contestants appeared on stage one by one. During the singing and dancing, Sun-young deliberately pretended to fall down, according to director Jang's wishes. Her purpose was to appear in front of the camera. This resulted in no footage of Soo-hyun. At this time, Ji-young was backstage. She saw the video of her loved ones and finally got the support of her family. This made Ji-young very touched. At this time, the contestants began their special performances. Director Jang was cheering for her contestants from below the stage. Director Jang's excessive actions made Director Jae-ri feel embarrassed for her. Hyun-jun was very worried about Ji-young's performance. The first team quickly finished performing. The second team immediately started performing. Jae-hee's hip rotation made everyone in the audience unable to blink. The next person to appear was Ji-young. Ji-young's performance on stage was truly amazing. Even though there were hundreds of thousands of spectators sitting in the audience, she did not feel any stage fright. Even though Ji-young had to wear heels that were more than 10 centimeters high on her feet, her dance moves were still very natural and light. Her performance left Director Jang speechless, but the real fun was yet to come. Hyun-jun sat in the audience, happy like an idiot. As soon as Ji-young started singing, the entire hall was stunned. Even though she had to sing and dance for a long time, it did not affect her singing voice at all. Director Jae-ri also felt very regretful that she could not sign a contract with Ji-young in the first place. All the spectators in the audience were cheering for Ji-young. The choreography from 26 years ago unexpectedly had such an emotional impact. Director Jae-ri was actually worried about her contestants because regardless of singing, dancing, expression, or charm, Jae-hee couldn't compare to Ji-young. The finals of the Miss Korea pageant were about to begin. Inside the makeup room, all the girls were taking advantage of every minute to prepare for the finals. Ji-young was carrying her makeup bag. She still hadn't gotten a makeup position. Director Jae-ri was confused because Ji-young didn't even have an assistant. The pageant was about to begin, but Hyun-jun was missing. But Ji-young just smiled and said that she could handle everything by herself. Director Jae-ri wanted to help Ji-young, but she was also taking care of her contestants, so she could only remind Ji-young to quickly go to the bathroom and find a place with a mirror to put on makeup. Just like that, the other contestants were all meticulously putting on makeup in the dressing room. Ji-young had to carry her makeup bag by herself. She hugged her dress in her arms and hurriedly went to the bathroom. At this moment, Lee Jun had brought the makeup artist to find Ji-young because he knew that Hyun-jun was not trustworthy at important moments. But Ji-young once again refused Lee Jun. She knew that he had feelings for her, so she didn't want Hyun-jun to have any misunderstandings. She believed that he would come here very very soon. After that, Ji-young left resolutely. After going to the bathroom, she did her own makeup and hairstyle. At this time, the final night was about to begin. Ji-young's family had also arrived at the venue. With the appearance of the MC, the competition officially began. The contestants introduced themselves and announced their participation. When it was Ji-young's turn, her sincere and humble expression left a very good impression on the judges. The final round of the competition quickly arrived, which was also the swimsuit competition that everyone enjoyed watching the most. After the judges' careful observation, the organizers quickly got the scores for the swimsuit competition. So Hyun, who had walked the catwalk on the subway, got 8 points. Sun Young, who was a professional dancer, got 7.9 points. Next was Ji-young. Because Ji-young had trained hard and had been doing the job of standing in one place for many years, her legs were very straight. Her waist was very slim, so whether it was her legs or her thighs, they were very firm. Although Ji-young's bust was a little small, her overall proportions were very harmonious. In the end, the judges gave her 8.4. But Ji-young and her family shouldn't be too happy too soon because Chaehee's beauty queen aura immediately appeared. Chaehee had a high academic degree from a prestigious university. That made Chaehee very confident. She won the highest score of 8.5. Then, Ji-young relied on her high score to smoothly enter the top 15. During the break, Ji-young texted Hungjun, but from beginning to end, she still didn't receive a reply from him. Meanwhile, the judges here were meeting to discuss how to break the rules of traditional beauty pageants. The criteria for scoring contestants were not limited to high education and good jobs. For the sake of fairness, they should also give opportunities to candidates who have jobs at the grassroots level. They should also give extra points to candidates who have natural beauty and have not had plastic surgery to avoid having similar plastic surgery faces in the future. This also brought more opportunities to Ji-young. Ji-young quickly entered the top. Chaehee also easily entered the announcement list. Next, Sun Young was voted for the special award of the cosmetics company body. So Hyun and 2 other candidates simultaneously achieved 3rd place. At this time, there were still 2 other candidates on stage. The candidate from Daegu won 2nd place. This means that between Ji-young and Chaehee, one person will achieve the title of Miss Korea. The other person naturally won 2nd place and became the runner-up. After the MC talked for a while, he began to announce the answer. As expected, God does not disappoint those who try. Ji-young finally defeated Chaehee and successfully won the Miss Korea title. This result surprised Ji-young's family. They did not expect that their daughter could win the Miss Korea title. Minister Park was also surprised. He did not expect that his subordinate who farted in the elevator would now become a miss. At the same time, Ji-young received the Miss Korea title. She also received a huge bonus of $20 million, along with a 50-carat natural diamond crown, and next year she would represent Korea in an international beauty pageant. But until the end, Ji-young did not see Hungjun. It turned out that because Hungjun's business was losing money, he owed a huge amount of money. The creditors removed all the equipment from his factory. Hungjun was also beaten up. At the press conference hall, Hungjun finally appeared. At this time, director Jae-ri also saw Hungjun. Hungjun did not forget to brag to Jae-ri that Ji-young had won the championship. Director Jae-ri bluntly questioned Hungjun, saying that while Ji-young needed help from others, he disappeared. Now that she had won the championship, he appeared. Director Jae-ri really did not understand what Ji-young saw as good about Hungjun, but Hungjun said that things she did not expect were still waiting behind. Sure enough, Ji-young saw Hungjun injured. After she knew that his factory had all its equipment taken away by bad guys, she took out a 20 million won stock certificate and gave it to Hungjun to encourage him to start over. Hungjun initially refused the money, but he eventually accepted it. Not only that, Hungjun later became Ji-young's manager. After Ji-young became Miss Korea, her value doubled. Big and small TV stations competed to interview her. Advertising invitations kept coming to her. Whether it was famous directors or staff, they all treated her very politely. But Ji-young didn't use the money she earned from advertising and being a spokesperson to buy things for herself. She gave all the money to Hungjun. Today, Ji-young suddenly received a call from Minister Park. He also invited Ji-young to be the spokesperson for his department store. Ji-young went to the department store once again. She was deeply moved that this place had abolished the position of elevator attendant. The moment she stood in the elevator reminded her of so many things. If she had not bravely entered the beauty pageant, if she had given up halfway because it was too difficult, then perhaps the current her would still be somewhere continuing to work as an attendant. Or perhaps she would be like before. Even when she was hungry and ate an egg, she would still be scolded by the manager. Up to now, the general manager of the department store had to make an appointment with her manager to meet Ji-young. Furthermore, they had to invite her to a luxurious conference room. Minister Park even changed his previous arrogance and harsh words. He used a smiling face and a respectful and careful attitude to talk to Ji-young. The next day, he even brought a gift bag to Ji-young's house. He bowed and apologized to her family for what happened earlier. He also took out the salary that he had previously deducted from Ji-young to return to Ji-young. Minister Park kept apologizing to Ji-young for his previous excessive actions, but Ji-young told him to return the money he had taken from the other employees before they could discuss signing the contract. He immediately said that he would quickly do as she requested. Today's drama ends here. Thank you everyone for watching. Goodbye, and see you again.